The anniversary that ended everything. Hi there and welcome back. I appreciate you being here today. If this is your first time joining us, make sure to subscribe and share this with someone who might need to hear it. And don't forget to drop your city and country in the comments. I read every single one. Now let's dive into today's story. My name is Derek Palmer, and this is the story of how my 7th wedding anniversary exposed a betrayal that had been hiding in plain sight for years, one I never could have imagined. It all began the night of our anniversary dinner, hosted not at a fancy restaurant or a romantic getaway like in the past, but at my wife's family home, a choice that at the time felt unusual. But I'll get to that. Let me take you back first to the beginning. How it all started. I met Natalie, my wife, through a mutual friend at a cozy New Year's gathering. It wasn't anything wild, just a quiet evening with a few laughs, music, and drinks. But the moment I saw her, something shifted. She had that kind of presence that drew you in without even trying. Confident, sharp-witted, and kind-hearted. Our connection was instant. We talked for hours that night, and by the time we said goodbye, it already felt like a beginning. We started dating soon after and spent 3 solid years together building something I thought was unshakable. We talked about everything: family, careers, finances, future children. We were intentional with our time. We weren't just falling in love. We were building a life. So, when I proposed to her in the park where we had our first date, I wasn't nervous. I knew her answer. And when she said yes, smiling through tears, I thought I was the luckiest man alive. That moment lived in my heart for years. Those early years of our marriage felt like magic. We laughed often. We shared our dreams, supported each other's goals. Waking up next to her felt like home. We talked about saving for a house, traveling across Europe, and maybe even adopting a dog. I never once questioned her loyalty. Not once. Cracks began to show. But then came year 5. Everything started to shift. Quietly at first. We'd been trying to start a family. 2 miscarriages later, both of us were emotionally wrecked. Natalie became a shadow of herself. Tired, withdrawn, emotionally distant. We started seeing fertility specialists, following strict routines, taking medications. The stress crept into everything. Our conversations, our time together, even our silence. I noticed how drained she looked. How the light in her eyes dimmed. So I suggested we take a short break. Not from each other but from the pressure. I told her I loved her more than any child we might someday have. That her health mattered to me more. But instead of feeling supported, she lashed out. Told me I didn't understand what it meant to want motherhood. She said I would never comprehend her pain. Soon after that argument, she packed a bag and went to stay with her parents. That month was the loneliest of my life. I didn't call. I didn't chase. I just hoped that time and distance would help her see that I never stopped being on her side. Eventually, her parents helped bridge the silence. She came back, but something in her stayed gone. A slow drift. Even after she moved back in, things were different. She became more protective of her phone, stepping away to take calls, shielding her screen when I walked by. When I asked about it, she waved it off. Just work stuff. I wanted to believe her, so I didn't press. I buried myself in my job and a small business I was building on the side. I hoped that if I gave her space and focused on self-growth, maybe we'd find our rhythm again. But instead, the silence between us grew louder. The 7th anniversary. Our 7th wedding anniversary arrived, and I had expected, maybe even hoped, we'd reconnect the way we used to, just the 2 of us. But Natalie had a different idea. She wanted to celebrate at her parents' house. Said it would be nice to have her family share in our love. Sounded sweet, thoughtful, but also off. It wasn't like her. Still, I agreed. I told myself maybe this was her way of reconnecting. And oddly, in the days leading up to the dinner, she did become more affectionate. Laughing at my jokes again. Making coffee for me in the mornings. Holding my hand while we watched TV. I thought maybe, just maybe, we were climbing back. That night, her family welcomed us warmly. The dining table was stunning. Her mother had made all of Natalie's favorite dishes. Her younger sister and cousin Julian were there too. Everyone was drinking, laughing, sharing old stories. To anyone watching, we were the perfect couple. But I could tell it was an act. Natalie was overcompensating. Then I started noticing her slipping away from the table frequently. First to check something in the oven. Then to grab something upstairs. Each time she took her phone with her. Every time. I didn't say anything. I didn't want to ruin the night. But then came the call that changed everything. The moment of truth. I stepped outside to take a quick call from a friend about a side project. While we talked, I looked back through the dining room window, and that's when I saw it. Through the partially open blinds, I saw Natalie walk into the kitchen. Seconds later, Julian, her cousin, followed her in. They were talking closely. Then they kissed. It wasn't a friendly peck. It was slow, intimate, familiar. My entire body froze. My friend was still talking, but I wasn't listening. I was watching the slow-motion collapse of my marriage unfold through a glass door. Seconds later they pulled apart. Probably because they heard someone coming. I stood outside long after the call ended, trying to keep my breathing steady. When I went back in, they were both at the table, laughing like nothing had happened. No guilt, no hesitation, just mask, perfectly worn. That was the moment I knew. This wasn't new. It had been going on for a long time. Finding the evidence. I left early, faking a headache. Natalie offered to come with me, but I told her to stay. Her indifference to my pain was confirmation enough. The next morning she acted like everything was normal. Gave me a kiss. Asked if I wanted eggs. I couldn't even look her in the eye. Then something happened. Later that week, Natalie left her phone on the couch while she stepped outside to talk to our neighbor. She never left that phone behind. Ever. I hesitated, then picked it up. On the third password attempt, it unlocked. I went straight to her texts. Julian's name was right there, near the top. Their message thread ran deep. Years. Some deleted. Some save. It had started long before I came into her life. Paused while we dated. Then resumed during our rough patch after the miscarriages. There were messages of longing, of secrets, of emotional and physical desire. Voice notes where she called him, the only person who truly sees me. Where she talked about how I made her feel suffocated. I sent the most damning evidence to my own phone. Then I placed hers back exactly where it was. That was the moment I stopped grieving the marriage. I started preparing for its funeral. The confrontation. When the divorce papers were ready, I waited until after dinner one evening. She was scrolling on her phone. I asked her to put it down. Said we needed to talk. Then I asked her plainly, "Are you having an affair with your cousin?" She blinked. "What? Well, why would you even ask that?" Pulled out my phone. Hit play on the voice message. The one where she told him how much she missed his touch. Her face went pale. She didn't deny it. Just cried. Said it was complicated. That they had history. That he always understood her. Then she said something that truly disgusted me. "Please. You can't tell anyone. If this gets out, it'll ruin me." That was it. I stood, handed her the divorce papers, and told her it was over. No yelling. No theatrics. I left that night and didn't return until she was gone. Aftermath and healing. Word spread fast. Her family found out. Her mother messaged me, heartbroken and embarrassed. Her father apologized. Whether their remorse was real or not didn't matter to me. I was done. The divorce process dragged on for months, but I never fought. I just wanted my freedom. When it was finally over, I didn't feel victorious. Felt hollow. Because I hadn't just lost a marriage. I had lost the part of myself that still believed in fairy tales. But slowly, day by day, I began rebuilding. I learned to be alone again. I learned how to trust myself again. And now, I'm not angry. I'm awake. The truth ended our story. But it also began my healing. If you made it this far, thank you for listening. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. And if you've been through something similar, if you've had to rebuild from betrayal, know this, you are not alone. Stay strong, stay grounded, and keep moving forward. Until next time.